Hi, everybody. Lynn Cox here, clinical hypnotherapist. I help women overcome the impacts of abuse, both in childhood as well as adults. So, I'm diving a little bit into this very common question. So, I want to preface this by saying everybody is a unique individual, everybody has unique experiences. No two experiences are the same. No two people are the same. We have different interests, we have different tendencies, personalities. We are so unique. So there can never really be a one size fits all approach to healing and recovery. But there are some fundamentals and foundations that can be really, really helpful. And there also are some common themes, common challenges, and common questions that come up for people. And I'm talking about dealing with this issue specifically. Well, actually, this question in particular, how long is it going to take until I feel better? So I'm really talking to people who have experienced childhood abuse or have come out of a domestic violence relationship. This can apply to many other issues though that people experience, challenges. How long is this going to go on for? How long until I start to feel better? Or how long until I, stop doing the things that really aren't working for me? How long until I stop feeling victimized? How long until I start, finally feeling some kind of relief? How long is it going to go on, perhaps, that I have flashbacks or intrusive thoughts? How long am I going to feel like a victim for? How long until I'm going to feel better? So this question of how long is it going to take until I feel better? So a really quick answer to this, which may not be which may some people may not want to hear, is that it's actually up to you. That's part A of the answer. How long am I going to feel this way for? That actually is up to you. The other part of that, though, is, the other part of that is to get really clear on what is it in my experience today that feels like I cannot wait until the clock strikes the moment in time when I'm no longer going to feel this way. It's kind of like that idea of that the answer is within the question. So you get to decide, number one, and also being able to identify what indicators are you going to have in your life that tell you you've started to make some progress in healing, that tell you that you're starting to perceive yourself differently. So it's kind of a little bit of work at looking at that. And there's tons of resources out there where you can, kind of map out different areas of your life and how they're going for you and how you feel about them. How are your relationships? Do you want to be in a relationship, or have you had such terrible experiences that you kind of think, no, I don't want to have that because you're afraid? You can look at relationships, intimacy. A lot of people who have had childhood abuse can have issues with intimacy in their adulthood. These you can actually change, and you can change your experience. How long do you feel, like justice wasn't done, or it's so unfair? And I am going to classify this under that feeling like a victim versus feeling like somebody who has choice, self-determination, and accountability. You really do get to kind of set the standard for that. No one size fits all. And also, when you hear people say things like, well, it takes a long time to heal. If something was so bad, therefore it's definitely going to take like a really long time to heal. That is a massive red flag, because it actually doesn't have to be that way. And I will tell you why. Our experience of life has everything to do with our beliefs and our perceptions. And this is the reason why two people can have not the same experiences, but similar experiences and can have entirely different outcomes. I gave some examples in another video that I did not that long ago about, some prolific people who are famous who had experienced childhood abuse and had managed to, take that experience and kind of rebuild it into something that was a bit more beautiful. Like Maya Angelou, that prolific writer, she was sexually abused as a child. One of her most famous novels is she uses that experience for that novel, and her quote, and I can't, the gist of her quote is, I can be changed by what has happened to me, but not diminished by it. So it is really a bunch of different decisions and choices that we make. How long is it going to take? Well, that all depends. That all depends. Do you really want to feel differently? Are you willing to open your mind up to the idea that, hey, if I manage to kind of reorganize and reconsider what these experiences mean about me, how I can interpret them, how I can make meaning of them, and then how I may be able to kind of use all of those things as fodder, right? As material for experiencing a better life, that totally is possible. Sometimes that can feel like a bridge too far for people to go when they're dealing with the anxiety, dealing with depression, dealing with other symptoms like the guilt and the shame and all of that. Like, it can feel that way, but I guarantee you, if you're able to work on your perceptions and beliefs, you really can actually have far more rapid results. We'll call them results. And results seems like too clinical of a word to use, or too cold of a word to use, because this is your life that we're talking about. This is your life that we're talking about. These are your relationships. This is your relationship with yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you perceive yourself, and how you're able to to move forward and feel like, what, you have some peace with those things that happened. You're able to understand that you really can make a new experience of life through being able to perceive yourself and perceive the experience differently, right? It's that idea of the silver lining. Like what in that experience, as awful as it was, and for as awful as what you might be feeling today about it be, are you able to see some kind of gift in it? I just talked to a woman yesterday who's 53, who was abused between the ages of 4 and 14, and by a family member, and really had a rough go at it. Like, I'm talking to the degree where they went to court, where she, as a teenager, was the one who was called out for um, maybe being the one who caused the abuse, like, and really never had any real acknowledgement from the abuse was in the family unit, and has now decided at age 53, one of the things that's actually bothering her most today is that she's gained an enormous amount of weight, and she's wondering in her mind, like, is it somehow related, because I'm trying to eat the right things, I'm doing this exercise on a day-to-day basis, but I just seem to be getting bigger and bigger. So she started to kind of make this connection. And we'll figure it out when we go and do an RTT session and we go back and find out, why is it that she's hanging on to this weight, age 4 to 14, and now 53, and looking back. And you know what's so beautiful about that is that she's actually going to be kind of digging in, because she's come to a point where she said, okay, I've had enough of feeling like this. I've had enough of seeing my physical health um, basically be degenerate, because gaining weight is not healthy for anybody. It's not healthy to be overweight, full stop. So it really does come to a decision point. And one of the biggest hurdles sometimes is for people to understand that they have agency and that they have choice, and that working with your perception and your beliefs is one of the quote unquote quickest ways to be able to gain that perspective and know that regardless of what was done to you, regardless of you, if even if you felt like you were complicit in it, that's a common theme with women who have been in abusive relationships, and it took them some time to finally get out of that relationship. Or sometimes it's that the abusive, violent partner would be the one who left them. And they can look back and regret that amount of time. But here's the thing, there is a choice point, regardless of anything that's happened before, regardless of your role and participation in it. There are ways to go inside, really identify like what's all the meaning that I've made out of these things, and what's a new meaning that I would like to make. And then you can decide, but you have to maybe consider, if something's been dogging you for 20 years, 30 years, you've suspected, oh, you keep on going back to that thing. If something goes wrong in your life and then you go back to that, well, that memory of being assaulted, being abused, and you're making that connection, that's a good indicator that perhaps something's lingering there, something's been set up in your belief system, and therefore you're having this ongoing experience. So how long will it take until I feel better? Really, the choice is in and within you. And I know that might sound harsh, um, but really, I'm here to hopefully help people more quickly recover, because you don't need to spend any more moments or any more minutes or any more years feeling guilty or full of shame, or doing habits, being addicted to food or other substances, or trying to numb out, or taking the position of, well, this always happens to me, I'm always victimized by somebody else. You don't have to spend more time doing that than you decide you don't want to. Decision point is the first thing that can kind of explode the time clock, right? Like, we are obsessed with time in our culture. What time is it? This meeting at that time. We measure everything by time. I promise that if you were to make the decision, as well as open your mind to the idea that if you do work on your subconscious and your belief system, that can actually really accelerate the clock, accelerate the healing clock, so to speak. So that's what I have to say to the how long is this going to take. So much of that rests within what you decide you really want for your life, and if you're willing to and interested to address these things and maybe look a little bit deeper. And there are ways to do that. So I hope everyone's having a great day, and I'll be on soon. Bye for now.